All right, everyone, welcome back after 1 hour and 5 to 10 minutes more. We are firing this up. We're in the tools track. If you still don't know where you are, you're in the tools track of Present to Succeed 2022. This next session is about a software platform that is called Empower Suite. And in this case, if you don't know what Empower is, we have the best person to introduce you to it. In my mind, Stephan, who is the founder of the company, is the best person to tell you more about obviously the product, but his company was sponsoring the event last year when we initiated the conference and is also supporting us throughout this year and 2022. So Stephan, yet again, thanks for that support and continuous support. Let's put it like this. I would also, before I give the word and the stage to you, I always love to say that what you guys have done with Empower is, I believe you mentioned it last year during the conference, is PowerPoint on steroids. And so for everyone who is a heavy user of PowerPoint, if you believe that PowerPoint is quite capable, you don't know anything yet. So Stephan, take it away and show us what is PowerPoint truly capable of.
Perfect. Thanks for the intro, Boris. A pleasure to be here again. So let's directly kick this off. So the topic of today's session is upgrade PowerPoint to the next level. And maybe you wonder, so what the heck does this guy mean and what are we trying to do here? So in order to do it a bit more with more substance, we've done a huge market research together with the largest research firm in the world, Nielsen Market Research. We interviewed people in organizations around the world and in corporations. How do they work with PowerPoint? And there's one very essential and maybe mind-boggling outcome of the study. I mean, probably not for you guys because you're all in that industry, right? Most of you are presentation experts, but we found out that overall in corporations, every second person works intensively with PowerPoint. Every second one sitting in front of a desk is using PowerPoint. And forgive me for those who use other tools. I mean, PowerPoint is still like by far the market leader. So we are focused on PowerPoint today, but maybe it holds true for the other presentation and services around there as well. So here's the outcome. We found out that those people, every second person in a company working on PowerPoint is spending more than 2.5 hours every week. And here's the thing, not doing the whole PowerPoint or presentation work, but just the formatting pieces. Just like, the alignment of boxes, the charting, the stuff. So everything that is just solely committed to the formatting part, not the content. So 2.5 hours every week, that's more like 15 working days every year, people spend with doing, let's say, tedious work, to say at least. So that was the reason that drove us to also, I'll come to Empower a bit later, but that was the reason to say, okay, let's dig deeper now. Let's not stop here. So what's really killing people's time? What's really the biggest time savers? So in that study, and of course you can see, you can come to our booth and check it out. You can download this full report for free. It's an amazing piece of research on the presentation software in general. So the top 3 time wasters. So where do those 2.5 hours every week come from, right? So let's start with number 3 to have some excitement in here. So number 3, the third biggest time waster in corporations is creating sophisticated charts. Here's the focus on charts. So charts, business diagrams, they consume a lot of time. And if you think about it, in particular in controlling and strategy consulting and finance, a lot of charts are done all the time with PowerPoint. Number 2, second biggest time waster, converting existing content, that means slides, right, into a new template. So think about the last corporate design relaunch in your organization, think about the next one, but even think about things in between. There is maybe a new template. There's no big redesign, but there's a new template. We've seen many clients converting in the last years from 4:3 format to 16:9. Guess what? Maybe 16:10 is the next big thing, right? So there is always involvement in new templates. And moving existing content to a new template is, as most of you probably know, very cumbersome and annoying. And don't even think about those people who are not power users. They are struggling big time in that task, which is a problem for your brand. And here's number one, the biggest time waster in organizations when creating presentations and doing all that and formatting work. It's searching for existing content, in particular existing slides, but also templates, images, icons, you name it. So the search for the things that you have already created in the past or your colleagues have created is the number one time waster. And I mean, we all know this, right? We need some corporate slides. That might be easy, but then I'm looking for some product slides, so I have to reach out to some product people in the organization. Then I remember that my boss recently presented something, so I'm looking there and asking him. So I'm not even wasting my time alone. I'm even getting other people involved in wasting their time as well to finally get the slide. And once I got the slide, I'm like, that doesn't look like the latest version. There's something out there that must be more up to date, and the whole search starts again. So that's a big time waster because we all don't want to reinvent the wheel. That's why we search, but that's very, very inefficient. So these are the biggest time wasters that lead to a lot of time waste in organizations. So why is this so relevant for, I would say, every company that works with presentations quite a lot? Let's go through it. I mean, of course, we lose so much time. Time is money. It sounds very, very typical stereotype, but that's what it is, right? We lose time. We are highly educated knowledge workers spending a lot of time on aligning boxes and making business charts look better or searching for stuff that has been already created. That is annoying and that gets on our nerves and is really inefficient. Secondly, from a brand and marketing perspective, there's another dimension. The brand suffers constantly. We invest millions these days in our brands. Brands have never been so important, probably in business life, but we are on the last mile of brand management and brand control. We're losing it, right? People go out with random slides, totally inconsistent. We also looked in our study that 50% of all these presentations do not match any corporate guidelines. So that's a big problem. And last but not least, today's workforce is highly demotivated by this kind of work. And if you talk to people, and again, we are a special species, I think, in this business world, because we probably love to do presentations, we love to create them and to design them. But if you talk to people in corporations, most of the people just hate working. And it's not PowerPoint, it's the problem. It's the presentation software, it's the general task, right? That's what people demotivates and is really frustrating work because of all this cumbersome activities. So that's what we want to change. That's actually what we are, that's why we exist, right? That's our mission. So we are a software-based company. I don't want to bore you with the facts. We're a German-based company, and we're doing business software solely for Microsoft Office. I mean, today I'm speaking about my favorite topic, presentations, but of course it's also for the full Office suite that we do software. And we try to make people be their best at work by just getting rid of all these annoying tasks and helping them to create more effective presentations in less time, as simple as that. And that's our sole mission of what we do every day since more than now, I think like 12 or 13 years. One more show-off slide, please forgive me. I want to illustrate here, we're working with more than 2 million users that are using Empower. We are heavily, we are not industry specific with what we do. We are more like PowerPoint or presentation specific. Wherever corporations work a lot with PowerPoint, that's where you probably see Empower. And it's not only the big firms that you can see here, it's also many small and even medium-sized firms. Think banking firms, finance firms, or consultancies, all those companies that work a lot with PowerPoint. So, but without further ado and without talking too much about us, let me give you a flavor and let me prove to you how we can actually address those top 3 time wasters. So I want to show you just very briefly 3 use cases. So let's start. So time waster number 1, like the biggest time killer, was searching for existing content, right? And here we thought about this whole problem. And the problem is, where do I have, so I'm in PowerPoint, I'm working, now I need a slide, I have to leave, I have to go to a browser, maybe to SharePoint, maybe I go to Teams and look in like 100 channels. And in every channel I check it out, I'm trying to search, but the search shows me just file names and I'm like lost. So I have to leave PowerPoint and do a lot of searching across many places. And we've totally changed it with Empower. And you see here, this is just my PowerPoint. So you can actually see it's the Empower ribbon here. I can say I need a slide. So let me just check out in the library where I should go. So, and in the library, you see brand and product, they can all have their slide libraries made available for parts or the entire organization, but all the SharePoints and all the Teams channels can be added too on a slide level. So that means I can now browse and search directly within PowerPoint for every single slide that has ever been created in the organization that has been stored either in the slide libraries or in Teams or in SharePoint. So let's just do a very simple example. I'm looking maybe for a case study. And it's searching again, it's searching everything. And you see it's lightning fast and it shows me the slide level visually. That's what I'm in my head, right? I looked for the specific slide I have in mind and now I can immediately see it. So these are many search results. So probably that's real life, right? Lots of case studies. Whoa, maybe I can say I'm just looking for English slides right now. Let's reduce that. But maybe I'm looking for a brandy case here. There we go. Now I've reduced my selection. So let's just take this slide here. So that's a Merck case. And I can just one click, I've inserted a slide. You see how fast that was. That was coming from a SharePoint presentation stored somewhere in SharePoint, and I just got that slide. So it's an instant search. We always, of course, have the aim of a Google-like search experience, as fast as Google, as relevant as Google search results. And suddenly, all the content ever created in the organization is at my fingertips. So that's how we address time waster number one. There's one more thing I have to add. Think about, so now I got that slide, that's cool, but what happens if this case study gets updated, right? What happens if this SharePoint presentation gets a new version because somebody made some modifications? I want to show you what then happens. So if I'm opening up an old presentation, I'm just doing that here from my desktop. Whenever I'm opening up a presentation with Empower, Empower will check whether I have any updates. And you see here, I didn't click anything and it just popped up. In this case, hey, there's a new version of the Merck case that you got somewhere from your corporate knowledge, right? Somewhere that you found with the search. You can even show the differences. So you see here, she has a new title, this person. That's important, right? I want to reflect that in my credential, in my case study, new number of users. So I can see the difference and I say, oh, that's very helpful. I can just get the update. So you not only very easily find the latest content, you can always rest assured it stays the latest version in your presentation. All right, let's move on to case study, or to time waster number two, I should say. We talked about it, converting slides to a new template. And again, I'm assuming that most of you are PowerPoint or presentation experts. You might think, well, there's this design feature where I can switch designs and themes. Well, you know that this is not doing the entire job, right? It's just really parts of it. And I want to show you in one real life example what we have worked on. And this is one of the first features we created and ever since then further developed. So we have here a typical presentation. So it's old content. The content is still relevant, right? But I need to transform it to the new template because we have changed our looks by then. We even changed our branding. We used to be called Made in Office. So I have a 4x3 presentation. That's not all right anymore. I had a different font, different colors. Look at the footer in the top bottom right. It's a typical messed up presentation due to copy paste. If you look at the layouts, for those of you who care, it's a messed up presentation, but that's something we see every day, right? It's whenever you do copy paste, you have this mess. Now it's the problem. I have lots of images here. Think about all these images. I can't just stretch them to 16 by 9. So what we've developed with Empower is the idea is a one-click operation, because not all people are experts, not all people care about this. They just want to get this new template done. So you can click on convert, and you can just convert a single slide, a presentation. I can even choose if a company has multiple masters. That happens quite often, right? I can choose as any given master and say, I want to just convert that and do the job for me. And now it just converts everything magically. And you see that took, I don't know, 3 seconds. And here's the new template. It intelligently stretched the content to the full width, right? You see that here? The images have not been stretched. It all had been proportionally resized. So there's a lot of logic, and it's a one-click operation, and my entire presentation is good to go. And if you look at the layouts, all layouts have been cleaned. There's a very intelligent layout mapping algorithm. So it's a super powerful feature. And we do have clients literally just because of this feature, they were like, okay, we need to implement a power, maybe for the new template or the redesign, because it has such a big impact on people's experience with a new brand, because otherwise they would have to do a lot of work, right? So that is the time waster number 2 addressed. Last but not least, it's much easier to find content. We talked about this. It's so easy, even if you find outdated content with our powerful search, like not outdated, but in an old look and feel, one click, you're good to go in your latest template. But then you would say, yeah, that's nice, Stephan, but what about all these slides I still have to create, right? It's not only picking existing slides and pulling them together. It's also about creating new stuff for the next business meeting. And of course, you're right. So the time wasted number 3 is actually that, right? Creating sophisticated business charts. And let's have a look at this one here. So this is just I would say, typical scenario. So I have some data, but I have like different arrows and like all these kind of business comments on growth, etc. To do something like this manually with PowerPoint is a cumbersome work, right? And I want to show you with the Empower tool, the toolbar here on top, how that works. So if I need a chart, I can just, choose a chart and I can just drag and drop, because here there's no placeholder, it doesn't matter. There we go. So this is just sample data, as you all know. I want to link that to Excel. So I can just, put my Excel data here. So now this is intelligently linked. It's not an image or anything. It's like a real chart now in PowerPoint. And here is my data linked. You might say, well, that doesn't look perfect. That's because I would probably want to put that into, there we go, in thousands. And now this already looks better. So maybe what do I want to do? I want to maybe add a delta line, because Asia is here the reason for my whole growth. I choose, and you see what happens. I just do a few clicks and suddenly everything works magically. And maybe I want to have this kegger. That's like the finance people love these kind of keggers and stuff. And it's all automatically it's automatically re-rendered the chart, it's calculated, and of course, if I make any changes in my Excel, so as a finance person, I don't have to do any PowerPoint work anymore, right? I can just stay in Excel and do my modeling, and if I just at the end of the day update my entire presentation with many links, all these charts get re-rendered, everything gets recalculated, so it saves me just tons of hours every time. And if you think about these kind of finance reports, that quite often happens on a monthly level. So again, this is just the top of the iceberg. It's just a little idea of how we try and help for all these real life business problems to spend so much less time on the formatting part and really focus on the content. This is something we cannot optimize, right? This is your brain work. This is what is fun actually about presentations. And here we make everyone like a designer, making good looking business charts without spending hours on that. So that was a very short overview, and I want to end this. As you might have read in the description, what we've created is a Empower free edition. Free edition is, it cannot be technically having all the functionality, right? We are still a business, but we try to put in all the cool tools that people like you, power users, love. So there are like 50 advanced layout tools in there. All the charting you just saw is part of that. So you can create waterfalls and Gantt charts linked to Excel. That's all in there. Then you have like a DeepL translation engine with a limited budget, and many more features are part of that free edition, and it's free forever and no credit card required. So feel free to come to our booth and check it out or download it here. It's more by invite only, so we don't push our free edition everywhere, because we are still focused on enterprise and on enterprise clients. And if you have a case like this, if you find that interesting, again, just visit us at our booth, or maybe contact us anytime later. We are more than happy to walk you through, and would also love to bring your PowerPoint to the next level. With that in mind, thanks so much. Thanks, Boris, for this wonderful conference again. And I'm looking forward to jump to the next session now.
Absolutely. We are also about to Yeah, before we jump into the next session, I want to just say this once again, because the use cases that you are showing are definitely, I would say, especially the charting, but also the searching of slides from previous presentations and all of the things that you are showing, especially, however, the charts, at least. Yeah, I would say that a lot of people could recognize those cases. The case here, however, is, are you guys the people that will take the decision? And are you the decision makers for that one? However, Stephan just mentioned that you have the power currently from the booth to download a free edition that's normally not available to the public. And for you to play with it and maybe show it internally inside of your organization, and then maybe bring in the decision makers, because you can imagine how much time could be saved here with a tool like that. This is truly powerhouse stuff, and indeed the hours that could be spent are just, yeah, quite a lot. Let's just leave it there. I'll make sure that we also put a general announcement after this session so that people can go in to the Empower's booth and see and download this invite-only version of the tool, because we truly believe in the power of that one. And Stephan, thank you again for joining us for this otherwise short session.